That's incredible. You know, as that last thought that you shared of like we are all headed to the same spot, right? We're all headed towards death. That it you know no one's going to escape it. Um, it reminds me of a book that I read recently by Peter Attia, Outlive. I don't know if you're familiar with Peter
I'm
Attia and his
familiar.
work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. This concept that he talks about and he has talked about for a very long time is this divide between lifespan versus health span, and kind of like his whole purpose is to try to help people to increase their health span, which is essentially like how long you can live while still being healthy. Um, and so it by focusing on like physical fitness, and it's not just physical fitness, because just like you said, health is not just like how your body reacts, it's also like mental health. He has a whole chapter dedicated to that in his book. um, so I guess my question for you is like what can our listeners do specifically, like if they want to get started now and they want to actually say, let's say that they've taken the time to actually like said, okay, this is my why, this is what's driving me. What are some of the like foundational things that they can do to actually start increasing their health span so that way they can live better and fuller lives as they age?
Love it. We're about to get practical here. There is an order of importance when it comes to creating health change. There are some things that are just more fundamental to do first than others. The good news is exercise is not first on this list. It is a couple steps down. The first thing is, outside of the mindset and deep work we've done, is you need to create your version of a sustainable, healthy nutrition plan. Because food is one of those unique things where it's either poisonous for the body, like truly creating inflammation, blood sugar dysregulation, hormonal issues, or it's literally healing and creating blood sugar stability, insulin sensitivity, consistent energy, and weight loss. So you need to get that baseline default plan in, because that's ultimately where you're going to be working every single day. And if you don't have that layer in and you're trying to exercise, you're not eating great, but you're trying to go work out, you're putting stress in a system on top of a poor baseline mechanism that's creating damage and inflammation. And we do know, at least from Peter Attia's work, he's like huge on the fact that inflammation is at the root of disease.
Yeah.
Looking at like cardiovascular health is really foundational, and food is either inflammatory or anti-inflammatory. And I have my own take on what kinds of foods and diets are best, and we can certainly get into that. But before getting into the foods and like the religion side of nutrition, where it's like, this is best, that is best, it's most important to think of it in terms of like the structure and the routine. So every person here, I wish for them to develop a proactive meal timing schedule where they have a plan and they're eating proactively every single day. And it could be something like the classic breakfast, lunch, snack, dinner, like 8, noon, snack at 3, dinner at 6. That's fine. It could be intermittent fasting, where you either have early breakfast and early dinner, or you shift that breakfast back and have it maybe at like 10, 11, a snack, and dinner at 5 or 6. But the structure is super important to nail in, because every day the mind is going to be able to latch on to something that no matter what happened yesterday, I have this routine and structure to guide back on. It's kind of like how an airplane flies. Like the nutrition structure is the guardrails that keeps you like on track and gives you something to execute on. And it's far less nebulous than like, what kind of foods should I necessarily eat?
Right.
It's like, when am I eating? And it gets a formulaic. And there's a lot of benefit that happens when you do have these more formulaic nutrition structures. Your blood sugar ends up being more stable. You tend not to overeat. You start to get out of that reactive, oh, I missed a meal, and then, oh, I'm really hungry, or I got the snack stuff because I didn't eat, and then I overeat in dinner, then I feel guilty. Those are the cycles that run when people don't have a proactive structure in place. And with that, go ahead.
I was just going to say, to touch on that, I'm kind of curious, what is your take on like calorie counters or like macro trackers or things along those lines? Like, are you for them or against them?
I'm for them for people that have analytical personalities and want to track those things. They're absolutely not necessary, but they can be very helpful. And this is also why we need to literally tailor our approach to this stuff to our natural personality and dispositions. If you are data driven and that really motivates you to have the super clarity on the macros and the calorie tracking and using an app, then that is probably the path forward for you to succeed. But you can also use some heuristics in terms of meal setup that I'll share with you that pretty much can get you to eat a calorie balanced, roughly around 2,000 to 2,500 calorie day, breaking down into like 600 calorie meals that are healthy and easy and you don't need to necessarily count. So not necessary, but helpful for personality types.
Great.
Now, when we're doing nutrition, we're also balancing these forces of consistency and variety. We want to be consistent because it makes it easier. There's less thinking involved. There's less friction. But we also need some variety because no one wants to just eat like chicken and broccoli for the rest of their lives. Like there's no fun in that, right? It's unsustainable. Now, the beginning part of the day for busy parents is the consistent time. like every person who wants to succeed long term that I've talked to, like they pretty much have a go-to meal number one. The first breakfast, it's like it could be one or two different options, but it's standardized, it's healthy food, and it's easy to do turnkey every single day. It works with your families if you have young kids. So examples of this could be some kind of egg-based recipe with avocado or eggs with berries. It could be like a power smoothie protein thing. It could be overnight oatmeal with some protein additives in there. But it's something that you don't need to think about that can help turn this gear every single day, that this is how I start my day. This is how I start my day. And that's the purification process of nutrition, because positive momentum begets more positive momentum. That's just how we work when it comes to healthy foods. You eat healthier, you're more likely to exercise. You exercise, you're more likely to eat healthier. And so the nutrition lever is a powerful thing to pull every morning. And we're huge fans of that. And prior to that, what we actually like to have people do is when they wake up, pretty much within the first 10 minutes of waking up, is to drink 20 to 32 ounces of water. Ideally, you add some minerals to that for the good health benefits of those. And that is so much more than just the physical benefits of that. It's a rehydration. It's literally almost like a prayer or an affirmation first thing in the day. It's like, whoosh, you throw that back, you feel some gratitude, and you're like, today I'm starting my day with something so helpful and simple for my body. And it's like a blessing that helps the rest of the day go on. It's a behavioral hook. So imagine having the water, then into a standardized meal number one. And I recommend lunch is even kind of consistent too. This could be leftovers from your healthy-ish dinner the night before. It could be a protein bowl. It could be a healthy sandwich on some organic sprouted bread if you tolerate wheat fine. It could be getting healthy meal out at like Chipotle or a local place that has some healthy options if you eat out lunch in the office kind of scenario. But like having those decided go-to options where you remove the cognitive load is essential for those first couple meals of the day to keep this habit momentum. And dinner is the place where you can have more variety. Build it around some kind of protein. You can have some healthy carbohydrates. I'm not a believer that you need to go a super low carb, but I am a believer that you want to lower your carbs when you're getting healthy to improve glucose and insulin sensitivity. And you use this framework. This is like kind of high level, and we can go as specific as you want. It can really help you make this more of a lifestyle than a diet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, because I mean, it really depends on what type of workouts you're doing as well. Because just like you were saying, like the habits are synergistic with each other. You know, your diet feeds your lifestyle, or your workouts and your workouts then like feed back into your nutrition. So like someone who's just doing like, let's say, low rep bodybuilding type of workouts, they might not be hitting the carbs as high because they're not doing as intensive workouts, but they are, you know, really maximizing their protein, versus someone who's doing marathons or is wanting to really go on like long runs. Those carbs are incredibly important for them to be able to maintain that level of energy. So I think that's an absolutely fantastic point to be made.
Well, overall, I'm living that your approach is it's not cookie cutter, because I think, people try one kind of diet or exercise plan and then fail. And then they go and they still try another one. And it's like, they're trying to find the one kind of thing. And I kind of accidentally fell into a few years back, like during COVID, doing some like health and fitness coaching on the side, just like with friends and family who were like, hey, we're at home, we want to work out. Like, and I would just sit with people individually and be like, well, what are you going to actually stick with? And I'm not an expert, like near to the level where you are, but it feels really affirming to hear this from you, because it just makes so much sense to me that really what matters is, what are you going to stick with? Like, how does your mind work? Like talking about, counting calories and macros, and like, cause I've done that at times, but like I'll get through like a week on my Fitness Pal logging, and then I'm like, man, I got to look this food up. And how much did I actually have? Like, I'm not weighing that.
Right.
Like,
that's friction for you. For someone else, that might be fun, but for you, it's friction.
So much friction, perfect. Like fire, basically. There was a fire happening from all the friction. So I am just absolutely loving that this is your approach. So like if someone were to call you up or go to your website, it sounds like you just have like step by step by step. So once you've like gone through
it's a literal full process. Like step one, we get you through the mindset mission statement work. Step two, we explain the meal plan in 6 steps, like meal timing schedule setup, deciding what your first meal is for meal one, go to, getting lunch, healthy snacks, dinner recipes, like giving you perfect clarity. And to kind of loop back our analogy, in step one with the mindset, we got the elephant really motivated to go in the direction we want to go. In step two, we give the rider clarity, both on the nutrition and on the exercise. And then in step three, we basically like pave the path, clean out the home, make sure it's easy to get the workouts in, get you surrounded by community. And like, that's the process of like really repeatable behavior change. And the cool thing is you can actually tailor, the whole point is tailoring your unique preferences, how it works with your family, your different schedule into your plan, the least friction plan as possible. So your kids eat a certain thing for breakfast. How can you like tack on with that so there's less friction in the morning? family likes a certain kinds of things for dinner, you can adapt to make that the case. You may have some kind of cultural aspect to your food and you might eat plant-based for that reason. Then having recipes that work in that stage is going to be essential for your long-term success. It is about managing friction. It's not about like thinking short-term. And then like it can be as simple as this. Like the best, healthiest foods for us are the whole non-processed foods, like the outside of the grocery store, the fruits, the vegetables, the meats, the fish, the eggs, like the basic non-boxed, non-processed stuff. And there's a subset of those foods in for every person that's uniquely very healthy. Like there's some people who react poorly to certain vegetables, some people who do better on higher carbs, lower on higher carbs. Part of that's genetics, part of that's your training. And the process is actually like going through this health journey to find and dial that in for you uniquely. And like what you get through this is, I know my good baseline routine is the foods that make me feel great, and you can still do free meals and cheat meals, and it's all kind of built into this lifestyle. And then you just work it. And look, there's going to be periods where you drift a little bit, but you have a plan to kind of drift on back, and you're not thinking about some kind of rigid diet to follow. It's just a lifestyle, and it also creates a culture for your kids too.